This conference will now be recorded.
Hello guys, this is Shashwat Bajpayee. I'll be your technical trainer and I'll be discussing some important technical question which we'll be needing in the interview. So the first question is, what is network? So network is defined as a set of devices connected with each other using a physical transmission medium. For example, if you're connecting a computer and your laptop and your printer with it, then there's a proper network between the computer and the printer. Okay, and the transmission medium which is used between the computer and the printer is the communication cable, the cable which is used to communicate between the computer and the printer. So it's a personal home network. Example which is mentioned in the definition also, a computer network is a group of computers connected with each other to communicate and share information and resources like hardware, data, and software. In a network, nodes are used to connect two or more networks. What are nodes in this example? The printer and the computer are the node, and the wire through which they are connected are the link. So the next question is, what is node? As we have already discussed, what is node? Two or more computers are connected directly by an optical fiber or any other cable is a node. A node is a point where a connection is established. It is network component that is used to send, receive, and even forward the electronic information. It can be anything. Okay. A device connected to a network is also termed as node. So if there are 25 devices connected to a network, like 25 laptops connected to a network, so there will be 25 nodes in that network. Okay. Let's consider that in a network there are two computers, two printers, and a server are connected. That we can say there are 5 nodes on the network. Two computers, two printers, that is 4, and one server. Okay, total 5 nodes are connected in that network. The next topic is network topology. Network topology is nothing is a physical layout of the computer network, and it defines how the computer and devices and cables are connected to each other. Okay. What are routers? Routers is a network device that connects two or more network segments. It is used to transfer information from the source to the destination. Router sends the information in terms of data packets. When these data packets are forwarded from one router to another router, then the router reads the network address in the packet, identifies the destination network. Okay, what is the basic function of the router is basically direct the data in the network. Okay, it routes the data in the network. What is the OSI reference model? OSI reference model. First of all, we have to discuss about the OSI, like full form of the OSI reference model. OSI stands for Open System Interconnection. The name itself suggests it's a reference model that defines how applications can communicate with each other over a networking system. Okay. It also helps to understand the relationship between the networks and defines the process of communication in a network. Okay. So there are 7 layers in an OSI reference model. We'll discuss it. First layer of the OSI reference model is physical layer. What does the physical layer do? Basically, it converts a data bit into electrical impulses or radio signals. For example, Ethernet. Okay. Data link layer, which is the second layer of the OSI reference model. At the data link layer, data packets are encoded and decoded into bits, and it provides node-to-node data transfer. This layer also detects the error that occurred in layer 1. Okay, which is the main point of data link layer. First of all, it detects the layer that happened in layer 1. Then the data packets are encoded and decoded into bits and provides a node-to-node data transfer. Okay. Third layer is network layer. This layer transfers variable length data sequence from one node to another node in the same network. And this variable length data sequence is known as datagrams. The fourth layer of the OSI reference model is transport layer. It transfers data between nodes and it also provides the acknowledgement of successful data transmission. It keeps the tracks of transmission and sends the segment again if the transmission fails. So as the definition suggests, as the function suggests, that it helps to transfer data between nodes and also provides acknowledgement of the successful data transmission. So if you are sending data between the nodes and the other node had received the data, then it will send the acknowledgement to the other node that they have already received the data. Now you can send the data to another node. Okay, it provides acknowledgement also. Next is session layer. This layer manages and controls the connection between the computer. All the management thing is happening is in the session layer. It basically establishes, coordinates, exchange, and terminates the connection between the local and the remote applications. Okay, it's a layer 5 of the OSI reference model. Sixth layer is presentation layer. It is also called syntax layer. The main function of the presentation layer, it basically transforms the data into the form in which the application layer accepts. Application layer is the last layer of the OSI reference model, and it is one of the layer which is very close to the end user. Okay, So all the communication part is done by the application layer between the end user and the application layer. Both end user and the application layer interacts with the software application. This layer provides services for the email and file transfer layer. That are the examples of the OSI reference model. Okay. What is the difference between hub, switch, and the router? First of all, hub is least expensive, least intelligent, and least complicated of the three. It broadcasts all the data to every port, which may cause serious security concern, okay, and reliability concern. In a network, hub is a common connection point for the devices connected to the network. Hub is contains multiple ports and is used to connect network segments of the LAN. We will discuss hub in star topology also. Okay, the hub is very useful in star topology. We'll discuss it later in the next questions. But what does hub do? It broadcasts all the data to every port, okay, without asking, like, if you don't need even the data, it will send the data to each and every port without any hesitation, or without, which may seriously cause a security concern and reliability concern. Switches work similarly like hubs, but in a more efficient manner. It creates connection dynamically and provides information only to the requesting port. What does hub do? It broadcasts all the data to every port. Switches, it only broadcasts the information to the requesting port only. Switches is a device in a network which forwards packets in a network. Okay. Third one is router. The router is the smartest of the one and the most complicated of the three. Okay, it comes in all shape and sizes. Router similar like little computers dedicated for routing network traffic. We have discussed router in the above definition also. It directs the data in a network and it routes the network traffic. Routers are located at the gateway and forward data packets. Then the question is TCP/IP model. It's again one of the model which is most widely used in the transmission control protocol and the internet protocol. TCP/IP specifies how data should be packaged, transmitted, and routed in their end-to-end data communication. There are 4 layers in TCP/IP model, that is application layer, transport layer, internet layer, and network interface layer. Application layer, which is the top layer of the TCP/IP model, it includes processes that use the transport layer protocol to transmit the data to their destination. There are the different application layer protocols such as STP, FTP, SMTP, and SNMP protocols, which is an example of the application layer. Second layer is transport layer. It receives the data from the application layer, which is above the transport layer, of course. It acts as a backbone between the host system connected with each other, and it mainly concerned about the transmission of data. Transport layer, the main concern of the transport layer is to transmission of data. TCP and UDP are mainly used as a transport layer protocol. We will discuss TCP and UDP in the next questions, in the upcoming questions. Third layer is network or the internet layer. These layers sends the data packets across the network. The packets mainly contain source and destination IP address and actual data to be transmitted. There are three things which happens to be carried in the network layer. Packets mainly contain source IP, destination IP, and actual data. Okay. Fourth is network interface layer. It is the lowest layer of the TCP/IP model. It transfers the packets between the different hosts. It includes encapsulation of IP packets into frames, mapping IP addresses to physical hardware, etc. Okay. So the ninth question is, what is HTTP and what port does it use? Okay. HTTP, first of all, is a hypertext transfer protocol, and it's basic responsible for the web content. Many web pages are using HTTP to transmit the web content and allows the display and navigation of hypertext. All the web pages happens to be open in the HTTP format. It is the primary protocol, and port is used here in the TCP port is 80. The TCP port which HTTP use is 80. It's a very important point for the interview perspective. What is HTTPS and what port does it use? We have discussed HTTP. Now we will discuss HTTPS. HTTP is nothing but it's a secure HTTP. Okay. HTTPS is used for secure communication over a computer network. HTTPS provide authentication of websites that prevent unwanted attacks. Okay. It's also responsible for the web content, but it is more secure. Okay. It provides authentication of website that prevents unwanted attacks in the website. In a bidirectional communication, the HTTPS protocol encrypts the communication so that the tampering of data gets avoided. Okay, that's why HTTPS is used in the place of HTTP nowadays. With the help of an SSL certificate, it verifies if the requested server connection is a valid connection or not. Okay, and HTTPS use which port? Port number 443. It's also a TCP port also. So now we will know what is TCP and UDP. We will discuss the difference. You will get will be more clear when we discuss the difference. First of all, TCP is the transmission control protocol. UDP is a user datagram protocol. Once the connection is set up, data can be sent bidirectional. TCP is a TCP is a connection oriented protocol. First of all, TCP is a connection oriented protocol and UDP is connectionless protocol. Okay. So once the connection is set up, the data can be sent only bidirectional. Okay. But in UDP, it's connectionless. So data can be sent in any format, in any direction actually. The TCP speed is slower than UDP. Of course, it will be slow because it is bidirectional. UDP is faster as compared to TCP. As a unidirectional, it's connectionless. Obviously, it will be faster than TCP. TCP is used for the application where time is not a critical part of the data transmission. As we have already read, that is bidirectional. So the time of the data transmission should be late. So TCP is used for the application where time is not a crucial part of data transmission. UDP, whereas, is suitable for the application which requires fast transmission of data, and time is a crucial part in this case. Okay, as you know, TCP is faster as compared to TCP. That's why in UDP, time plays a crucial role in the UDP. TCP transmission occurs in a sequential manner. UDP transmission also occurs in sequential manner, but it does not maintain the same sequence when it reaches destination point. TCP is a heavyweight connection. UDP is a lightweight transport layer. Okay. TCP tracks the data sent to ensure so no data loss happens during data transmission. But in UDP does not ensure whether the receiver received the packet or not. If the packet are missing, then they are just lost. Okay. So the next topic will be the firewall. Firewall is a network security system. It is used to protect computer networks from unauthorized access. It prevents malicious access from outside to the computer network. A firewall can also be built to grant limited access to the outside users. The firewall consists of a hardware device, software program, or even combined configuration of both. Firewall consists of hardware device. It can be a hardware device also. It can be a software program also, or the combination of both hardware and software. What is the main function of firewall? It's a network security system that is used to protect computer networks from unauthorized access. All the messages that route through the firewall are examined by the specific security criteria, and the message which meet the criteria are successfully traversed through the network, or else those messages are blocked. Firewall can be installed just like any other computer software and later can be customized as per the need, as per the control over the access and security features. Windows Firewall is an inbuilt Microsoft Windows application that comes along with the operating system. It's a very important point. Please make a note of it if you can. These Windows Firewall also helps to prevent viruses, worm, etc. What is DNS? DNS is domain name server. In a non-professional language, we can call domain name server the internet's phone book. All the public IP addresses and their host name are stored in a DNS and later is translated into corresponding IP address. For a human being, it's easy to remember the recognized domain name. However, the computer is a machine that does not understand the human language, and they only understand the language of IP address for the data transfer. So what DNS is? DNS is central registry where all the domain names are stored and it gets updated on a periodic basis. All the internet service provider and different host companies usually interact with this central registry to get the updated DNS details. We'll see an example over it. When you type a website www.google.com or anything, then your internet service provider look for the DNS associated with this domain name, the www.google.com, and translate this website command into a machine language. Machine language can be an IP address. It can be any IP address. Like for example, I'm taking 151.144.210.59. So this is an imaginary IP address, okay, of that website www.google.com. So that you will get the redirected to the appropriate destination. You can see the example over there in the screen also. www.google.com DNS server search this and translate this domain name into IP address, and this IP address will be redirected to your appropriate destination, and you can see the www.google.com opening in your web page. The next question is domain name and the work group. We will discuss the difference, then you will get more clear about it. Okay, so in work group, all the computers are peer-to-peer network is happening, and no computer has a control over another computer. Okay, Whereas in domain network, network admin uses one or more computers as a server and provide all access security permission to all the other computers in the network. And in a work group, each computer maintains their own database, whereas in domain is a form of computer network in which computers, printers, and user accounts are registered in a central database. Each computer has their own authentication rule for every user account in a work group actually, but in domain, it is central authentication servers which is set the rules of the authentication. In work group, each computer has a set of user account. If user has account on that computer, then only user is able to access that computer. If user has an account in domain, then user can log into any computer in a domain. In work group, does not bind to any security permission or does not require any password, whereas in domain, user has to provide security credentials whether they are accessing domain network or not. In work group, computer setting needs to change manually for each computer in a work group. In a domain, changes made in one computer automatically made some changes to all other computers in a network. Basically, we can say that domain is a corporate set of network will be used in a corporate set of criteria, but in work group is a personal home network in which there is no rules, there is no authentication services, there are no databases maintained. But in domain, in which is a corporate world, in the corporate world, everything is maintained by the admin servers, by the network admins. And so we can take an example of the corporate world and the personal home network. Okay, so we can get the better relevance about that. All the computers must be on the same local area network. You can see this. All the computers must be on the same local area network, whereas in domains, computer can be different on a local network. In a work group, there can be only 20 computers connected, whereas in domain, thousands of computers can be connected. Then the next topic is proxy server and how do they protect the computer network. Proxy server is nothing. It's a relay between the client and the server. Please note it down. It's a relay between the client and the server. For successful data transmission, IP addresses are required. And even DNS uses IP address to route to the correct website. We have already discussed this. It means without the knowledge of correct and the actual IP address, it is not possible to identify the physical location of the network. Proxy server prevents external users who are unauthorized to access such IP addresses of the internal network. It makes the computer network virtually invisible to external users. Okay. Proxy server also maintains the list of the blacklisted websites so that the internal user which is automatically prevented from getting easily infected by the viruses, worm, etc., which is a very important function of proxy server. What are IP classes and how can you identify the IP classes of a given IP address? Okay, so an IP address has 4 sets of octets of numbers, each with a value of 255. Okay, there are 3 types of IP classes and are based on the first octet of IP address, which are classified class A, class B, class C. If first octet begins with 0, then it's a class A. Class A has a range of 127 except 127.0.0.1, which is reserved for the loopback. We'll discuss it later, which is the next question also. If it starts with bytes 10, then it belongs to class B. Class B having a range of 128 to 191. Class A has a range of 127, 126 actually, 127 is reserved for the loopback. Then the class B range starts from 128 to 191. And class C belongs to the bits 110 and has a range of 192 to 223 actually. So why 127.0.1 is being reserved for the local host or for the loopback? Actually, if there is no response from the server, then there are various cases like the network is down or the cable needs to be replaced or the network card which is not in a good condition. So we reserved 127.0.1 is a loopback connection on network interface card, which is NIC. And if you are able to ping the server successfully, then it means that the hardware is in good shape on the condition or not. So basically, to check the hardware is in good shape on the condition or not, the 127.0.1 is reserved for the loopback or the local host connection. So we have learned loopback is inserted in the NIC. So what is NIC? NIC stands for network interface card. It is also the network adapter or the Ethernet card. It is in the form of an ARDEN card which is installed in a computer so that the computer can be connected to a network. If your laptop or your computer does not have any NIC in it, then you can't connect to any network. So what is the basic function of an NIC? It is installed in a computer so that the computer can be connected to a network. Each NIC has its own MAC address which helps in identifying the computer on a network. Then the next question is data encapsulation. Data encapsulation nothing is binding of data in a single form. The binding of data in a single form. It encapsulates each packet in a frame and contains the hardware address of the source and a destination computer. Okay. What is the difference between intranet, internet, and extranet? So internet is nothing, is basically application which can be accessed by anywhere from anytime, any location using the web. We can search anything in the Google and we can get the access to it, which is internet. Internet basically allows the limited users to access in the same organization. So if you are working in an organization and each organization has its own network, so that organization have its own intranet through which we can get the access of the office softwares of the office systems. Extranet users are allowed or provide access to use the network application of the organization. So if you're from the office and you're getting the access to the external users, that that network is called as extranet. The next question is VPN. VPN is a virtual private network and it is built on the internet as a private wide area network. Internet based VPNs are less expensive. We can search anything in the, like if you search in the Play Store, we can find like many types of VPN available in the Play Store also. So internet based VPNs are less expensive and can be connected from anywhere in the world. Okay, you can normally search VPN in the Play Store and you get many types of VPN in there. So VPNs are used to connect offices remotely and are less expensive when compared to WAN connection. VPN are used for the secure transaction and confidential data can be transferred between the multiple offices. Through VPN, we can like remotely connect the systems also. VPN keeps company information secure against any potential intrusion also. You can see a diagram of the VPN. So there are basic three types of VPN, which is first is access VPN, second is internet VPN, third is extranet VPN. Access VPN provides connectivity to mobile users and telecommuters. It's an alternative option for the dial-up connection or the ISDN connection. It provides low-cost solution with a wide range of connectivity. Whereas in internet, they are useful for connecting remote offices using shared infrastructure with the same policy as a private network. We have discussed what is internet. If you're working in an organization, each organization has its own network, and if you use the network of your organization, that network is internet network. And if you use the internet VPN, they're used for the connecting remote offices using shared infrastructure with the same policy as a private network. Extranet VPN using shared infrastructure over an internet, suppliers, customer, and partners are connected using dedicated connection. We have already discussed what the extranet is. Extranet is basically allowing the external users to connect in the organization's network. So through extranet VPN, we are using shared infrastructure over an internet. Suppliers, customers, and partners can get connected through the dedicated connection, which can connect to the organization. What are if config and IP config? If we search something in the Google command prompt, like let me show you something. If you type cmd in that, okay, then type IP config, then you can see that's the IP address of my laptop. So what does IP config do? It basically tells the IP address of your networking device. But if config is told, like if config is used for the Mac OS system and the Linux system. As I have the Windows system, so I can use IP config. And if you have the Mac OS system or the Linux system, then you have to use if config to check the IP address of your laptop. What is DHCP? DHCP is a very important topic. DHCP stands for Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol, and it automatically assigns IP addresses to the networking devices. It completely removes the process of manual allocation of IP addresses and reduces the error caused due to this. The entire process is centralized, so that TCP/IP configuration can also be completed from a central location. DHCP has a pool of IP addresses. Okay, understand this. DHCP has a pool of IP addresses from which it allocates the IP address to the networking devices. Okay, from the pool of IP address, it can assign the IP address by taking out the IP address from a pool and allocating the IP address to the networking devices. DHCP cannot recognize if any device is configured manually and assigned with the same IP address from the DHCP pool. So if you're like providing a static IP to a laptop, then the DHCP will not work. If you're manually allocating the IP address in your networking device, then it will not work. But if you're not like allocating the if you're not allocating the IP address in your laptop, then DHCP will definitely work. Okay. So if you're providing any static IP to a laptop and DHCP is also provided that same IP to another networking device, that leads to one condition, which is the IP address conflict. Okay. So in the same network, though like both networking devices can't have the same IP. If in a network two devices have the same IP, which leads to the IP address conflict. One second, guys. Huh. So what are the different types of network? Explain each briefly. There are four major types of network, which is PAN, LAN, MAN, and WAN. PAN is a personal area network, LAN is a local area network, MAN is a metropolitan area network, WAN is a wide area network. PAN is a small and the basic network type that is often used at a home. Okay, it's a connection between the computer and any other devices, like if you're connecting your computer with a printer or your phone or your modems and the tablets. Whereas in local area network is used in a small offices and internet cafes to connect a small group of computers with each other. Usually, they used to transfer a file or playing the game in a network. Okay. Whereas in metropolitan area network, it's a powerful network type than LAN. The area covered by the MAN is a small town city. The huge server is used to cover such a large span of area for connection. Whereas in wide area network, it's more complex than LAN and it covers a large span of area, typically a large physical distance. The internet is the largest one which is spread across the world. The internet itself, which is like all over the world, is the largest one available. One is not owned by any single organization, but it has a distributed ownership. Okay, you understand, right? Internet cannot be bought by any one single person. It is like distributed to different organization. It can't be owned by any single organization, so it has a distributed ownership. Next question is communication and transmission. So transmission is the data gets transferred from the source to the destination, which is only one way. Okay, transmission is like the data gets transferred from the source to destination, whereas in communication means the process of sending and receiving data between the two media, and data is transferred between the source and destination both ways. Transmission happens only one way, while communication happens in both ways. We have discussed the layers of the OSI model, so we have to move it from here. We have discussed the area of networks also. We have discussed the various type of network also. So there's some basic terminologies which you need to figure out. Like what is network? A set of computer or set of devices connected together with a communication path to share the data is a network. What is networking? The design and the construction of a network are terms of networking. What is link? The link we have discussed already also in the previous question. The physical medium or the communication path through which the devices are connected in a network is called the link. So if you're connecting your laptop and your phone with it with a data cable, then that data cable is a link, and the node is that laptop and the mobile. And then next topic is node. The devices or the computers connected to a link are termed as node, which we have discussed it already. Router or the gateway. The device or the computer or node that is connected to a different network is termed as gateway or the router. Okay. The basic difference between these two is that gateway is used to control the traffic of two contradictory networks, where the routers control the traffic of similar networks. Router is a switch that processes the signal traffic using internet routing protocol. We have discussed the function of router in the previous questions also. Routers direct the data in a network, and the routers routes the network traffic. Protocol, the set of instruction or rules or guidelines that are used in establishing communication between the computer of a network is called the protocol. Unicasting, when a piece of information or a packet is sent from a particular source or a specified destination, then it is called unicasting. Anycasting, sending the datagrams from a source to the nearest device among the group of servers that provide the same service as the source is termed as anycasting. So sending the datagram from the source to the nearest device among the groups of servers. Okay. So if you are sending any data to the server, then the nearest server will get the data. That is anycasting. Multicasting, the sending one copy of data from a single sender to the multiple clients or the selected client. Okay. What multicasting do? It will send the one copy of data from single sender, which is received from the single sender, and will be sent it to each and every or the selected clients of the network. who are in need of such data. That is multicasting. Whereas in broadcasting, it will send the data packets to each and every device. Okay, sending a packet to each and every device of the network is known as broadcasting. What are the characteristics of the networking? The three main characteristics of the networking is topology, protocols, and medium. Topology, this deals with how the computer or nodes are arranged in a network. Protocols deals with how the process of computer communicate with one another. Whereas in medium is nothing, the medium which is used by the computer for communication. So how many types of modes are used in the data transferring through networks? Data transferring modes in the computer network are of three types, which are listed below. That is simplex, half duplex, and full duplex. What does simplex do? In which the data transfer happens only in one direction. That is simplex. Okay? In which data transfer happens only in one direction. Half duplex, data transfer happens in both the direction. Whereas in full duplex, but not at the same time. Full duplex, data transfer happens in both times, but not at the same time. Okay? Full duplex data transfer happens in both the direction, that too simultaneously at the same time. Okay, like for example, we can take the example of the radio signal. Okay, that is simplex. We can take the example if you're browsing something in internet, that is the example for the half duplex. And if you take the example from the telephone communication through telephone, that is full duplex, because we are receiving the data and sending the data simultaneously. Okay, so there are some types of network topology which we'll discuss now, and the advantage and disadvantage of it. So first topology is bus topology. In bus topology, all the devices of the network are connected to a common cable, which is termed as a backbone. As the device which is connected to a single cable, it is known as a linear bus topology. The advantage of bus topology that it can be installed easily. Disadvantage of that is, like, if the backbone cable breaks, then the whole network will be down, because the main point in the bus topology is that all the devices of the network are connected to a common cable which is termed as a backbone, and if the backbone got break, then the whole network will be down or will be crashed. Then the second is star topology. As you can see the diagram of a star topology, the hub is used in the star topology as the central. In star topology, there is central controller or a hub to which every node or every device are connected through a cable. Okay, so if you have to send any data to each and every, like, to any other node in the star topology, then the data will be moved from the hub to each and every node. Okay, as we know the function of the hub, what hub do, it broadcasts all the data to each and every node. So if the data has been shared in a hub, it will broadcast all the data to each and every node. The advantage of star topology is that if a link breaks, then only that particular link is affected. The whole network will remain undisturbed. The main disadvantage of the star topology is that like all the nodes are connected to a single hub, right? So if the single hub got failed, the whole network got down. Third is ring topology. Ring topology, each device of the network is connected to the other devices on the either side, which in turns form a loop. Data or the signal in ring topology flows only in a single direction from one device to another and reaches the destination point. Okay, as you can see, if the computer 1 is have to send the data to computer 2, then the data will flow from clockwise or the anti-clockwise. Okay, so if the data has to send to through this device, then this computer will have to send the data to this, and then this data, then this computer. Okay, so the data will have to travel from the one node to each and every node to send the data. Okay, it will form a loop. The advantage of ring topology is that it can be installed easily, or adding and deleting device in the network is also easy. Okay, you can add and delete any device in the ring topology, there will be no effect in that. The main disadvantage of the ring topology is that data flows only in one direction. As you can see, there's a loop formed in the flow of message. If you see the diagram, there's a flow of message happening in the diagram, and a break at the node in the network can affect the whole network. If any of the one node got failed, then the whole network will get affected. In mesh topology, each device of the network is connected to all the other devices of the network. So each of the devices connect to all the devices of the network. Mesh topology uses routing and flooding techniques for the data transmission. If you have the n number of node, then the network of connection in the one node is n minus 1. Okay, The advantage of mesh topology is that if one link breaks, then it does not affect the whole network. And the disadvantage of that, the huge cabling is required and it's expensive. As you say, as we have discussed also, that each devices of the network is connected to all the other devices of the network, then the huge cabling is required in this form of topology. IDN stands for International Data Encryption Algorithm. In how many ways data is represented and what are they? Data is represented in 5 formats: audio, video, images, numbers, text. We know what audio is. It's a continuous sound which is different from text and the numbers. What is video? Continuous visual images or the combination of images is called the video. Images, every image is divided into pixel and pixel are represented using bits. Pixel may vary in size based on the image resolution, of course. Numbers, they are converted into binary numbers and are represented using bits. Text is also represented as bits. Full form of SKY, American Standard Code for Information Interchange. As you can see how switch is different from the hub. Both are, see, in the hub, the data is broadcast to each and every node. Whereas in switch, the data is transferred, like if A device is sending the data to switch, the data will only transfer to the B device. Okay, but in hub, if A device is sending the data to hub, the data is being transferred to each and every device. Then the topic is round trip time. The time taken for a signal to reach the destination and a travel back to the center with the acknowledgement is termed as a round trip time. And a round trip delay also. It is also called round trip delay. The time taken for a signal to reach the destination and travel back to the center with the acknowledgement also is termed as a round trip time. What is router? Router or a bridge router is device that act as both as a bridge and the router also. As a bridge, it forwards the data between the network, and a router, it routes the data to a specified system with the network. As you can imagine, if you have the image of the bridge, it connects both points, right? So it forwards the data from source to the destination, whereas in router, it routes the data to the specified system within the network. As we have discussed router in the previous questions also. So router is a device which act as both as a bridge also and as a router also. Define static IP and a dynamic IP. When a device or a computer is assigned a specific IP address, then it is termed as a static IP. It is termed as assigned by the internet service provider as a permanent address. Whereas in dynamic IP is a temporary IP address assigned by the network to a computing device. Dynamic IP is automatically assigned by the server or the DNS server to the networking device. How VPN is used in the corporate world. VPN stands for the Virtual Private Network. With the help of VPN, remote users can securely connect to the organization network, corporate companies, educational institutions, government offices, etc. using the VPN. What is the difference between firewall and the antivirus? Firewall and the antivirus are the two different security applications used in the networking. Firewall acts as a gatekeeper which prevents unauthorized access to the users to access the private network as the internet. We have discussed what is internet also. A firewall examines each message and blocks the same which are insecure. Whereas an antivirus, which is a software program, like in firewall, it can be a hardware also, it can be a software also, it can be a combination of both hardware and software. But antivirus is a software program which is installed in your computer and helps to protect the computer from any malicious software, any viruses, any spyware, any adware. Please make a note of it that a firewall cannot protect the system from the viruses, spyware, and adware. That will antivirus will do. Okay, but it will prevent the unauthorized access to access the private networks. So what is beaconing? If the network self-repairs problem, then it is termed as beaconing. Please understand this. If a network self-repairs problem, then it is termed as beaconing. Mainly, it is used in the tokening and the FDDI networks, fiber distributed interfaces network. If a device in a network is facing any problem, then it notifies the other device that they are not receiving any signal. Likewise, the problem gets repaired within the network. DHCP, we have discussed DHCP also. It is Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. DHCP is used to assign IP address automatically to the device over the network. When a new device is added to the network, it broadcasts a message stating that it is new to the network. Then the message is transmitted to all the devices of the network. Only the DHCP will react to the message and assign the new IP addresses to the newly added device of the network. With the help of DHCP, IP management becomes very easy. How can a network be certified as an effective network, and what are the factors affecting them? So we were discussing how can a network be certified as an effective network and what are the factors affecting them. The network can be certified as an effective network based on the below mentioned factors. The factors are performance, reliability, and security. A network performance is based on its transmitted time and response time. The factors affecting the net performance in a network are hardware, software, transmission medium types, and the network and the number of users using the network. So if you use the proper hardware, proper software, updated software, the transmission media type is also effective. And the number of users is inversely proportional to the performance. As the numbers of users will be increased, the performance of the network will get down because the network traffic will increase. The reliability of the network will also affect the network if it's a certified of it's an effective network or not. Reliability is nothing but the measuring the probability of failures occurred in a network and the time taken by it to recover from it. The factors affecting the same are the frequency of failure and the recovery time from the failure. So what is the factor which affect, like, where we can say that it's a network is it reliable or not, in which the recovery time of the failure is as low as possible. Okay, the factors affecting the same are the frequency of failures and the recovery time of the failure. The third factor, which is a very important factor of the network, only a secure network can be certified as an effective network. Okay, so protecting the data from viruses and unauthorized users. The factors affecting the security are viruses and users which do not have the permission to access the network. Okay, security plays a major role in the network, which can be help us to certify that a network is effective or not. So the next topic is DNS. We have discussed the DNS also. DNS stands for the domain name server. It acts as a translator between the domain name and the IP addresses. Okay, so translating the names into IP addresses is known as forward lookup. Translating the IP addresses into names is called the reverse lookup. What is the use of encryption and decryption? First of all, understand what is encryption and decryption. Encryption is the process of converting the data transmission into another form that is not read by any other device than the intended receiver. Sorry. Encryption is the process of converting the transmission data into another form that is not read by any other device other than intended receiver. Decryption is the process of converting back the encrypted data into its normal form. An algorithm called cipher is used in this conversion process. What is Ethernet? Ethernet is a technology that is used to connect all the computers over the network to transmit the data between each other. Okay, if we connect a computer and laptop to a printer, then we can call it as an Ethernet network. Ethernet basically act as a carrier for the internet within the short distance network, like a network in a building. Like if you take an example, is the Ethernet cable also provided in the market also. We can properly connect the Ethernet cable with a laptop and the printer, and you can easily maintain a Ethernet network. The main difference between the internet and the Ethernet is security. Ethernet is safer than the internet, as Ethernet is a closed loop and only has a limited access. How a network certifies based on the connection? So there are two types of networks which is based on the connections. First is peer-to-peer network, in which the two or the more computers are connected together to share the resources between the use of the central server, is termed as a peer-to-peer network. Computers in this type of network act as both as a client and the server. It is generally used in small companies that are not as expensive. Okay, peer-to-peer network is like if you're connecting your laptop with the printer, that is also peer-to-peer network, because two or more computers are connected together to share the resources. Okay, and we can share the resources by just clicking the print button, and the printer will work according to the command which you have provided it, and that is a peer-to-peer network. Okay, but in a server-based network, the central server is located to store the data application receptor of the client. The server computer provides the security and the network administration to the network. In a server-based network, is basically like if you have the example for the startup policy, that all their nodes is communicating with the hub, and the hub is sending all the data to the respective node. The hub is acting as a server there, and that type of network is called a server-based network. Pipelining: when a task is in progress, another task gets started before the previous task is finished. Is networking is known as pipelining. What is encoder? Encoder is a circuit that uses an algorithm to convert any data or compress audio data or the video data for transmission purpose. The main definition of the encoder is it converts the analog signal into digital signal. What does decoder do? Decoder is a circuit that converts the encoded data to its actual format. What the main function of decoder is? It converts a digital signal into analog signal. How can you recover the data from a system which is infected with a virus? In another system which is not infected in a virus, of course, install an OS and antivirus with the latest update, then connect the hard disk of the infected system as a secondary drive. Now scan the secondary hard disk and clean it. Then copy the data into the system. Now you can recover the data from a system which is infected with a virus. Describe the key elements of the protocol. So there are three types of key elements which happen to be in the protocol. First is syntax, second is semantics, third is timing. Syntax is the format of the data, of course. It means in which order the data is displayed. Semantics, whereas, describe the meaning of the bits in each section. Whereas in timing, at what time is data to be sent and how fast is to be sent. So the next question is baseband transmission and broadband transmission. Baseband transmission is states the single signal consumes the whole bandwidth of the cable is a baseband transmission, whereas in broadband transmission, complete signals of multiple frequencies are sent simultaneously. Explain SLIP. SLIP stands for Serial Line Interface Protocol. SLIP is a protocol used for transmitting IP datagrams over a serial line. Okay, that's it for the session now. We'll continue the next topic in a previous session, in the next session. Okay, bye bye.